Okay. It is our last book club for the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Let's get right into it. So for the first section, that's chapters 54 through 58. Um, Evelyn finally gets her call to go through to Celia. They decide to meet up, and as Evelyn is about to leave, Max is going through her letters with Celia. He threatens to reveal her sexuality to everyone if she goes, but she goes anyway. Evelyn and Celia meet up for lunch. They both kind of hate, but kind of love each other. Evelyn wants to stop acting and just be with Celia. Celia reveals she is dying of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. She has 10 years or less left to live. Evelyn still wants to be with her. They plan for Evelyn to marry Celia's brother, Robert, and for them to all go to Spain. But Evelyn would prefer to just remarry Harry if possible. Harry doesn't want to go to Europe and doesn't want to retire early. They decide to revisit the topic later. A few weeks later, Harry is willing to go along with the plan because he has fallen in love with someone and wants Celia to marry that person. But he does want to stay in Los Angeles and not go to Europe. They decide to push off talking about it again. Evelyn is later driven by later being driven to Harry's house by Nick when they come across a car wreck. It's Harry and his lover. They smell of alcohol. Harry is badly injured and his lover is dead. Evelyn makes Nick put the lover in the driver's seat and they rush Harry to the hospital. He ends up passing away as well. Evelyn bribes the driver to keep quiet on the truth of what happened. 6 months after Harry died, Connor was getting into a lot of trouble, and she knew it was time for the Spain move with Celia. Evelyn makes Connor agree to nightly dinners and seeing a therapist. They hug it out. Evelyn does end up marrying Robert. So this is for Caroline's question. Let me pull it up here. There it is. Okay. During the car scene with Harry and Nick, what did you think of Evelyn's actions slash response? I guess there's kind of a few questions here. Let's just start with that one. So what did you think of Evelyn's actions slash response?
It was very darkly calculated and kind of unexpected.
Yeah, how quick she just went into that mode.
Mhm.
I don't know. For me, it wasn't that surprising. It kind of fit in with the whole, image is everything, and she's already
Mhm.
shown that she's willing to do anything to do that, even for her friends.
Mm-hmm.
True.
That kind of feeds into his second question, which is, do you think decades of fear and avoiding being discovered conditioned her to hide what happened to Harry and throw someone innocent under the bus?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Without a doubt.
Now, and then his third part here, would you do the same thing? How would you act if your best friend needed protection at the cost of harming someone else?
Well, I mean, we have like DNA testing and shit now, so they could probably figure out that.
People were moved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not playing that game.
I don't know that my brain
But
would
also,
even
I
go
feel like
there.
Yeah.
it would. Yeah,
I feel
I
like
would
just the
consider it.
act of.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
know if
Sorry.
I would actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the act of moving a dead body that's covered in gore around takes a little more than like I just want to protect their image. That takes a whole nother type of like uh, that's crazy. To just pull a dead body out and switch its seats and be covered in its guts and everything else. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I do not think that we kind of established at this point that Evelyn's just the way that her brain is wired in the way like her default way of her urge to do something a certain way is kind of maybe not the greatest.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't know that I would be thinking of whatever like criminal implications or anything like that in a moment
Yeah.
like that. I probably would just immediately call, 911 before I even like thought
Hmm.
about anything else or something. I don't know.
Honestly, kind of makes me wonder about all the shit she's done that she hasn't talked about, cuz that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty wild. Um any other thoughts, comments, questions on this chunk or Geraint's question? The
I
questions.
was kind of annoyed at her being like, "Yeah, I'll just marry Robert." And I'm just like, "Girl, have you learned nothing?" Ugh,
She's too far gone to marry for love again, I think. It's just a business
I guess.
proposition or fooling other people or
And he's
whatever.
number 7, so it works out, I guess, but like
Mhm. All right. We shall continue to the next chunk. Chapters 59 through 63. Uh, Connor does well in Spain and eventually gets into a good college. Celia and Evelyn had more than a decade together in Spain before she passed. Evelyn stays married to Robert for over a decade, and Robert is close to Connor. Robert passes away as well, and Connor gives the eulogy. Evelyn lives by herself for a while and enjoys watching Connor progress in life. But then Connor is diagnosed with late stage cancer and passes away less than 2 years later. Evelyn summarizes what she thinks is important in life, that it was love, her family, her friends, all of her meaningful connections. All right, Jesse, what is your question?
Uh, Chapter 63 ends right before we kind of learn her big secret that she's been holding the whole time. What before we learned what it was, because she kept bringing up that she had like a big sin that even Monique was going to end up hating her for.
Mm-hmm.
What did you all think it was going to be? Because I didn't guess what it
I
actually was at
mean,
all.
no. I still had no idea at this point. Like, I literally was just thinking about the stuff that we had discussed previously,
Mhm.
like, some Celia related things, some Evelyn related thing. Yeah, not
Yeah.
exactly what ends up happening.
yeah. What was I expecting? Like,
I
and
did.
I think I was still expecting it to involve Monique's dad in some way, but
Mm-hmm.
for a book about celebrities, which are very well known for, doing drugs and drinking, I don't know why I was surprised that somebody finally died driving drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Because in hindsight, I really shouldn't have been.
Yeah, that was the one thing they were doing a lot of the whole book is, the drinking and the parties and the celebrating. They win awards, there's always like the drinking after that and stuff and I guess none of it really had caught up with them yet. Even the age related health issues, that came for Celia later. It's like none of that had quite started happening to any of them yet. Yeah, they were still just almost like impervious in a way.
Mhm. Yeah, I thought she would indirectly be involved with his death. This is a little more indirectly, but it definitely seems on par.
Yeah, I didn't
At least with.
I didn't expect that at all. I thought maybe, while he was alive there was some involvement or something happening,
Mhm.
but not the yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess we could go ahead and move on to because we're all inching towards talking about it anyway. So let's go ahead and move on to chapters 64 through 67. So the elephant in the room is finally revealed. The man they framed in the accident, Harry's lover, was Monique's father. Monique's mind swirls. Evelyn gives her a letter written by her father, and Monique tells her to leave the room before she reads it. It's a letter about how much James, her father, loved Monique and her mother, and that he couldn't and wouldn't choose Harry over them. After marinating in the meaning of the letter for some time, Monique goes and questions Evelyn about the purpose of all this. She finds out Evelyn has cancer. She storms out and goes home. She finds David returned to her coffee table. She contemplates how extremely complicated her hate for Evelyn is. So for this one, I got two questions, which we kind of already talked about. But first one is, how surprised were you guys at this reveal? I was totally surprised.
I was a little. I did take a double take. I didn't think at that moment that the other person in the car was her dad.
Mm-hmm.
But like at this point, I still didn't know. But like I read the name and I kept reading, and then I flipped back. I'm like, wait. And then, yeah, it was like, oh shit. And the way Harry says he met him was on like some studio, right? It was on the set
Yeah.
for some movie, which
Mm-hmm.
is what he did for work. Pretty surprising.
Yeah, as
Yeah,
soon
I
as
didn't
they
think
were like, "Oh, by the way, the other guy in the car was a black man," I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, for some reason that didn't fully register with me. I didn't connect the dots on that. what were,
I actually didn't remember which of Monique's parents were black. I just remembered in that moment
mm-hmm.
that she was
Mhm.
mixed race.
Mm-hmm. And Jesse, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just saying that I didn't expect it at all. It was not. I had a feeling death was going to be involved, but I didn't think that it was going to be, Monique's father.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And another question. Uh, what did you guys think of? Let's see. Oh, it's Geraint. Yes, yes. Welcome, Geraint. We are discussing the section with the big reveal of the elephant in the room that the man they framed for the accident, Harry's lover, was Monique's father. Um, the first question that everybody had just answered was, how surprised were you at this reveal? If you wanna say,
Oh, I mean, I didn't actually see that coming. I was pretty surprised.
mm-hmm. All right. And then the second question I had was, what did you guys think about Monique's reaction?
I think it's
Fair,
fair.
like, yeah.
Yeah,
I do not think I would have handled that any better.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it wasn't more, to be honest. It was a little,
Mm.
it was pretty well controlled. And again, it's like, this all happened when she was 7, and it's been literally decades. So but still, it's a very personal matter, obviously.
Probably just the shock of it.
Yeah.
There's like a shock relief factor. It's like, oh, I know what actually happened to my father, and then I like, holy shit, he was the gay lover
Yeah.
of
Wait a second,
a
this is fucked up.
Hollywood executive. That's crazy.
mm-hmm.
I didn't expect that twist. I didn't expect the gay lover aspect of it.
Oh, yes.
So everyone, put yourself in Monique's shoes. Imagine if your dad is secretly a gay lover of a Hollywood executive. Go.
Damn, get that money, Dad. Give me some of
Papa,
it,
why
too.
didn't you ever tell me? Papa.
Damn, get that dick.
Oh. Wow, Marlon's a
I
romantic.
think I'd
He
be
doesn't
like,
care about the
how
money.
fucking
Yep.
dare you do that to
Yep.
my mother?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate.
I mean, the letter basically says like that he'd give him up anyway.
Yeah.
That he was like,
I
I
mean,
want to stay
like
here for my family.
that would help, but I think I would still be very mad at the implied cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that it ultimately led, to his death. Like that scenario was, I guess, their last hurrah before Harry went to
Yeah.
Europe and they separated. So if they weren't both like entertaining the affair, it never would have happened that way.
Yeah, because I think I expected it to be more like some kind of tangential relation, but not a relationship. Like
Yeah.
maybe one of them, I don't know, he had some kind of student project in school that one of them was impressed with or something.
Yeah. It was hard to see that being the outcome.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other thoughts, comments, questions on that section?
No.
All right. Let's go to the last bit here, chapter 68 and 69. So Monique decides
Nice.
to go Monique decides to go to Evelyn's photo shoot. She even gets a picture with her. Evelyn sends her housekeeper on vacation and has a certain ominous vibe when she says goodbye to Monique. Monique is pretty sure Evelyn is going to kill herself, but doesn't feel it is her place to intervene. The story ends with Monique and her mother watching one of Evelyn's movies and two article clips, one announcing Evelyn's death and one announcing that a book on Evelyn's life will be released and feature her bisexuality and love of Celia St. James. Um, Amarillo is not feeling well, so she is not here. But as for a question on this section, Um, what did you guys think about the decision Monique had to make here as far as whether she should try to intervene or just, let Evelyn, do what she was going to
Um,
do? Did you guys have any moral quandaries about that, or did you feel mostly okay with it?
I had the moral quandary just because it's like somebody's about to harm themselves and you feel like you need to do something.
Mhm.
But also given all the context she just got, she had like a, you know, deeper understanding of why she would want to do that and not continue going on.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a moral gray area. It's hard to say what's the right choice there.
I just thought that the framing was really weird. Like to me, it almost felt like it was being framed as this like girl boss moment.
Hmm. For
I'm just like
Monique or for Evelyn?
a little bit of both.
Hmm.
Like I don't know. Like I certainly get the feeling because even though it's certainly possible that maybe Evelyn wouldn't have died like her daughter did, but she's still
Mhm.
79 years old and that's still a pretty good run.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And she lost everybody she loved in like the last few chapters of this book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody.
I
It's
th-
just I don't I just felt like the way this was framed and like physically written was very like weird vibes.
hmm.
But also, god damn it, why do celebrities get access to all the good shit? I also kind of like vaguely remembered that scene from Project Hail Mary where the Russian lady was like, I've been a good girl, I want to do heroin before I die.
Yeah.
what did you guys think about the part where I guess Monique was like having the thought that the thing that helped make Evelyn famous, like her body and her breasts were the thing that breast cancer, is the ultimate thing
Yeah.
that took her took her down. I thought that was a interesting
Poetic
realization.
irony.
Yeah, because I don't know that I would have connected those. I don't know that I would have necessarily sat down and thought about it enough to connect the dots
Hmm.
myself.
It
While an,
does at least make the suicide more understandable. If she had just done it because she was feeling it, I think it would have been bad, but at least
Yeah.
now she has justification.
Yeah, it went
I
from the
don't know. It's
message
it's
of
just a very weird, sticky subject.
it's like the message of do I stay alive and suffer or end on my own terms versus the message of kill yourself, kids. Do a bunch of cool shit and kill yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If she didn't have cancer.
so just making sure I didn't misread it out of my book with me, but she has early stage breast cancer, right?
I think so.
That
Yes.
was said somewhere.
It was the tabloids said it was rumored that she had early stage, but we don't but she doesn't officially say what stage it is. Just that the gene is inheritable and oh BT dubs.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I guess she had years left of, you know,
Fighting it.
oh, yeah. Well, I don't mean fighting, but just like probably not that many symptoms. I mean,
Yeah. I think she was at the end of her rope.
Too soon.
Yeah.
yeah.
I got to
I,
watch my grandmother die in my living room of cancer, so I don't blame her for not wanting to go through it.
yeah. I guess my only take on Toaster's question is the breast cancer didn't kill her; she killed herself. I mean,
That's
that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Yeah. And you
if she had
go
if
ahead.
she had like metastatic breast cancer and was dying, death's door, whatever, severe quality of life impairment. I mean, she's getting out, eating at restaurants, and I don't know. It's like, okay, yeah, you had something that probably will ultimately kill you, but in this context, you chose because you're lonely and didn't want to deal with anything. I mean, that's
Feel like I probably would have waited.
Yeah, I would say m- the way that she died, like the choice she made there. I mean, you could probably argue that that's just a continuation of her like not valuing what she has while she has it and making the wrong choice. Cuz she, for like she grew up poor, but the reality is she spent the vast majority of her life having almost everything that she, could think to want. And there were tons of times, where she had again more than anybody could could want, and she
Found a way to
made
ruin it.
yeah she never had enough. She never valued the right things, and you could say that in the end, it's like if it was anybody else, they would have valued their life. They would have tried to do more with it to honor the people that they lost. They would have, you know, I don't know, done more because for most people, their life is a very precious commodity. And yeah, I'd say probably how she chose to die is maybe just an extension of all the other poor
Mhm.
decisions she made, of not valuing what she had while she had it, or not
Yeah.
understanding how important it was.
Makes sense. Selfish until the end.
Yeah. Yeah, but she really thought that, at the end, that she really thought she understood something, like when she was summarizing her
Mhm.
life to to Monique, she was like, tell them like I got it wrong and I made the wrong decisions. But even with that sort of awareness of the past, she could not apply it to her present. It's like if she got all those decisions wrong, why is she so confident in this one when she knows
Yeah.
historically she makes the wrong decision? But yes. Does anyone else have any thoughts, questions, comments relating to this last little bit here before we go to the three overarching questions and then do our reviews?
Nope.
All right. For the overarching questions, there's a bunch of questions in the back, and I just picked three of those. So for the first question, of the seven husbands, who was your favorite and why? Who surprised you the most?
I think Harry. Harry's the best.
Yeah, Harry's the favorite.
Agreed.
Like, hands down, it's just Harry, because that was the best relationship that she had. And even though it wasn't like romantic love, it was definitely the most romantic of her relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if they were just double bearding, it felt real, man.
Who?
Mhm. The most surprising one was Robert at the end. How he ended up actually being a pretty good father figure
Yeah,
and
I
genuinely
agree.
caring person.
that's what I was gonna say too.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think my favorite husband was Rex North. I mean, him and
True.
Evelyn had a mutually beneficial relationship. He respected her boundaries.
True.
He eventually found someone that he loved, and Evelyn was able to let him go. And, didn't murder a guy innocently. I mean, like Harry did.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think Rex North is the winner here.
To be fair, that happened after they divorced, but he is a good number two, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable for him to be the favorite as well. Who do you think? Who surprised you the most? You're right.
What in terms of what the husbands?
Yeah, yeah. Who surprised
Oh,
you the most?
maybe was Max the French guy. Just how disappointing that turned out to be so
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, I saw that a mile away.
I didn't.
With that
I
guy.
had hope
That
until
La Belle shit.
I saw
I
his
mean,
chapter title. I
yeah.
had hope.
He was like Pepe Le Pew, literally. And I think they even made that clear in the book at one point.
I I wish she would have at least gotten like a little bit of time before he earned his name disappearing or disappointing. You
Mhm.
Yeah, it was
know,
Say that
but instead it
again.
was just like immediate.
What would you say, Jesse?
Uh,
I just said, yeah, it was real quick that he went from like
Yeah.
to disappointing.
It was like halfway
Mhm.
through the honeymoon even that he was like, I want to be
Yeah.
in the city with you, being viewed by others. And they cut their honeymoon short and even like by the time they landed back in LA, she was like completely heartbroken.
Yeah. Very superficial. The most
Mhm.
superficial, I think, of the relationships.
It's like, damn, he didn't even try. Like, come on.
Hmm.
Give her just like a little bit of hope before you crush her dreams.
Mhm.
Let's see.
All right. The next question was Monique notes that hearing Evelyn Hugo's life story has inspired her to carry herself differently than she would have before. In what way, in what ways does Monique grow over the course of the novel? Discuss whether Evelyn has uh, also changed by the end of her time with Monique, and if so, what spurs this evolution? Okay, so the first part is in what ways does Monique grow over the course of the novel?
She gets a little more independent, controlling of her life
Mm-hmm.
over the course of the novel. makes hard decisions that she wasn't making before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest. I never felt like Monique grew, like, because I mean, I guess I'm supposed to be led to believe that she had problems leaving David or forgetting him, or that she had problems taking things for herself, but I never got that actually laid out that she was having that issue to begin with. And I mean, to me, I don't feel like Monique grew that much. I was just told that she grew. I don't know.
Hmm.
I kind of
I mean,
agree.
yeah, but you didn't like her from the get-go, Marlon.
Mm,
Yeah, but I mean, she could have grown, and then I could have liked her. You know, like
yeah.
I didn't like her the whole way through the book.
Yeah, I agree. I found her dialogue in the book very cringeworthy at times, or like just like painstaking. Like I don't know. I don't want to go into a rant, but um, I just didn't feel they did a good job showing Monique's growth or character development. That's my 2 cents.
I think the only time it showed was the situation with David, and I felt like she was kind of a middle of the road character.
Yeah, but, I
Yeah.
mean, but what did she do before with David? Did she let him back in? Did she, not draw a hard line in the sand previously? Did she try to reestablish things with him or reach out to him? I have none of this to be like, oh, she's now changed in this way. She was doing this before, and now she's grown and knows to make
But
this boundary. I don't know.
they did explain that they just kind of separated without communication. He went to
We,
his city, and then yeah,
well, yeah, but I mean, what did she do wrong that she learned from and grew, out of?
she didn't choose to end the relationship. Instead, they drifted apart, and it was just kind of like nothing was addressed. That's the
I
issue.
thought it.
She was
I thought it was
complacent.
over until he texted her and said he wanted to come see her and something.
She seemed
But it was over
like
before that.
a little bit avoidant of the issue, and then
Yeah,
she gained the confidence to, stand up for herself.
No,
It's
she
not
was
like a
still
big
avoidant
change.
until David showed up to her door because she kept avoiding his phone calls.
yeah. Well, then,
Yeah, but she also tells off her boss. But
she did.
she seems like the type of character to just kind of complain or go with it and maybe bottle up her feelings. So at least
Yeah. She did.
she got a moment where she's like, "Hey, fuck you." It's not a strong moment. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah, it's not like
but it's
nothing
not.
happened for her
Yeah,
though. She definitely made changes.
Yeah. It's not like she's a completely different person now. She still did a lot of the things
Mhm.
that caused her problems in the past, but in the end, instead of just going with the flow or going with the will of the other person or you
She
know
went with the flow of Evelyn.
well, but that's an interview
well,
thing.
was
She was
It's
at
the
least going
teacher.
to give her money for it though, in a
yeah,
roundabout kind of way.
yeah.
She was like kind of mentoring her halfway through her story. Like she was like taking lessons from Evelyn.
But yeah, just as far as the marriage part that, she didn't just like, well, maybe we should, drag this out longer and see if, like get it not getting caught up in the whole like, I'm a failure versus my marriage is a failure thing. I mean, it's, for 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 Monique, we're really just tracking her development as a person over, what is it, just a few weeks as the story's being
Yeah,
told. But for Evelyn, we're getting a whole lifetime of development. And even still, it's unclear if she really even learned anything in the end. Um,
yeah. Mm.
but okay,
And
so
I don't even think she was redeemed at all. Sorry.
yeah, no, I was,
I don't think anything she did.
yeah, um, in, uh, so we have a few people who think like Monique didn't develop at all, and some people that think she did. What about for Evelyn? Do you think Evelyn had changed as a result of the time she spent with Monique?
No.
I guess that's
How
I guess
would
that's
she?
true. Well, I don't know. That's the question.
I think you
I
can
think
see Evelyn's growth through the story with her husbands, but I don't think
yeah.
she changed from the time of her meeting Monique to her finishing her story, other than maybe she's a little bit surprised that Monique managed to turn the tables on her.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't think Monique had too much of an effect on her
Yeah.
Mhm.
as a person.
She was fully settled into who she was at that point. But
Yeah.
if I had to pick a point in the story that she made a change, it's when she met back up with Celia the final time. I think that's when she actually made a change in her life and her choices. Potentially right after Harry died too. So
All right. Um, and the final question, um, different but related. If you could meet and interview one celebrity at the end of their life, who would it be, and what would you ask them?
I don't know
I
what I'd
don't
ask him.
Did you say it?
I don't
Did you
watch
say
enough
a name?
media for this.
Oh yeah, it's okay.
I was gonna say Robin Williams, but I
Mhm.
don't know what I would ask him.
Mhm.
Williams is a good choice. Um
I would probably interview Donald Trump and ask him what kofefe was. Like, what is it?
Interesting.
The Brazilian coffee nut, okay?
just slide in to Hillary Clinton's DM. So, how did you feel about the whole thing? Like, can you just tell everybody how wrong they were and how right you? Do you just want to like sit on that for a minute? No, I wouldn't do that. I would not be able to sit through that. I hate fucking politics talk like that. Even if it's like my side stuff. Like,
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who I'd
Any
interview at the end of their life, to be honest. I mean, maybe this is an
no.
example too that most people only care kind of surface level for celebrities, and maybe
What about the lead singer of Bring Me the Horizon?
at the end of his life,
Yeah.
he seems kind of open about his struggles and stuff. I don't know if there would be something to ask him that he, you know, hasn't already revealed.
The thing is,
I'm
everybody I can think of is
kind of
like people that have podcasts and shit already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I kind of like deliberately avoid information about like celebrities and stuff. Like there was a time when I was a teenager and I was like trying to find out literally everything I could about Tamara Pierce, but there's just something about like movie celebrities specifically where the paparazzi or whatever is just always 100% like so in their face
Hmm.
that even like big name interviews that like they want us to like watch and read, it just felt kind of stalkery.
Oh yeah.
So I
TMZ
just kind of
especially.
avoid all of that stuff. Well, yeah.
I
I mean,
picked
unless it was like,
Amanda Bynes. That's who I would want to know because
shit,
Oh, that's
you're right.
there is some
Pretty solid.
craziness going on with her, and she used to be so
mm,
awesome and cool and seemingly mentally healthy, and I would want to know what happened.
that's a good one. Britney
I was thinking
Spears
about
maybe
a
too.
I was thinking about a trio. O.J. Simpson, Jeffrey Epstein, P. Diddy. You know what I
Damn.
mean? Give me
Oh,
all the gossip. I want to know
I,
all
Jeez.
of it.
I think you missed the train on Jeffrey though.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, what you know, if you could have, it's all hypothetical.
Yeah. He didn't kill himself though.
I mean, that'd be something to ask him in the interview. You know what I mean?
So who killed you, Jeffrey? I mean, why'd you kill yourself?
Anyone else have any thoughts? A celebrity would wanna maybe Britney Spears would be
Sprinkle in a
another
Bill
good one.
Cosby.
I want to interview that guy that my parents named me after just to see how he feels about it.
That'd be funny.
There's a guy named Marvelous. That's weird.
No, they're okay. My dad really loves the like B-level TV shows and movies. So
Oh Lord.
in the winter of 92 slash beginning of 93, there was this TV show about a ninja who was betrayed by his ninja clan, fled Japan, became a US Marshal, and the show starts when he's trying to find his long lost son, and he has a lead in like Hawaii, and this guy's like retired, so it's like, an old man search old age, I think he's like 50, searching for like a full grown son, not like trying to find his baby or whatever.
Mm.
That guy's name was Jonathan Raven, like the character name.
Oh.
Wow.
And it's not like my parents had some deep abiding love for this show. Apparently they just literally looked at each other and went, "That's a cool name."
Yeah, it's
And
it's
that's how I ended
crazy. It's crazy they named you Jonathan like that.
it. I know.
And your middle name is Nevermore?
And what's weird is my brother isn't named Raven.
Oh, they could have. Well, is his name
They,
Jonathan?
they didn't.
Is his cockatoo? Or is he a different bird?
Damn,
Well,
they missed out on that one.
like, no deep abiding questions. I've never actually seen the show. It was apparently on, like, we caught it on TV like once in like the last couple of minutes.
Yeah.
It lasted for one season and got canceled for Walker, Texas Ranger here. So it's not like this gripping piece of TV history, but I
During
want
that
to
like
know.
schlocky fucking like crappy shows that just pumped out episodes until they were canceled.
I guess. I heard it
That was an
actually
era.
wasn't like terrible, but
Mhm.
I mean, I guess not enough people watched it if it got canceled after one season, you know?
There was a lot of those like in the 80s and 90s.
All right.
So I came to the book club late, but I'm just curious if you guys talked about this. What do you guys think of Celia's reversal in character and all of a sudden was scheming to hide things and marry her brother Robert to Evelyn? Did you guys think that was too out of character, or did she actually grow and learn, or what do you guys think?
Hmm.
I think that was like she understood the necessary evil of it at that point because of the whole being lesbians thing. And that was her growth, was that she understood that at least that aspect of it was a necessary thing to do to make it work, at least at that time.
Yeah, I mean, there are some things throughout the, just kind of out of character moments that are really important to the plot. That's just like, I don't know if I don't know if I'm there with
Well,
the Taylor Jenkins Reid.
I mean, that
well,
was
at that
10
point,
years
it's been
after.
10 years and it's their third go around, so I'll give it to her. She's had 10 years to think about how she
Yeah.
fucked it up or didn't fuck.
Her main problem was the sex with other people that Evelyn was having. Not the actual
Or the
setup. The
love,
setup
loving men.
it was yeah, but at this point she didn't, it's her own brother and she wasn't going to love her own brother.
Yeah.
Evelyn wasn't going to love Robert, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess it was on her terms. I'll say that. She's the one who made the plan, not Evelyn. So that probably had a contributing factor to it. I think Celia was the one in control, and so it played out in a better way because of that.
True, because it's maybe Celia was like, you tried being fake married and you even married a gay guy, but that was still like threatening to me because you guys had a kid. It's like, but my brother. How could this go wrong?
Yeah,
He's
and
a rake.
actually worked out.
Yeah.
It felt a little too convenient, but
Yeah, they always got a, a scapegoat for their relationship.
Mhm.
And this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go behind the Arby's dumpster. Okay,
Yeah.
there's a guy there, homeless guy. His name's Two Toe Fred.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna marry him.
Okay.
He's gonna be your cover,
Yeah.
and then me, Celia, the one talking right now. I will be your lover to the end of days.
Wow. That's beautiful. I bet that's gonna be the sequel.
I think their little like marriage ceremony was kind of cute. But
Oh
I
That was
yes.
cute.
It was very cute. But I don't know, Celia still kind of gets on my nerves a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely a book full of flawed characters, and nobody is a hero.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, for sure. I mean, old Celia was significantly better than young Celia. I will give her that.
Yeah, more aspirational,
Old lesbians are the best.
Oh.
right?
I will.
More
They
I,
are. They're pretty
democratization.
interesting to be around, you know?
I won't ask how you know.
Oh, you know what just came to mind? Have you guys seen the like meme or joke about how if you get really close to a dying old person, they'll eventually just confess
Oh,
to like murdering somebody? That literally
It
happened.
happens.
damn. Yeah,
It
I've seen.
happens in
I've
the
heard that
hospital.
before. Oh.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Oh God. Oh,
How
that's
many have you
right.
found out about?
Two. Well, I found out one. Hong got the other. My coworker.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, they're dead now, right? So,
Did you report it?
No, I mean I just kind of ignored it to be honest. It's a little bit like, how much do you believe this old person
Yeah.
dying?
yeah, I
When I
mean,
was 10,
sometimes they're just not in full control of themselves, but
yeah,
sometimes it's also like if this happened 50 years ago, like what are you going to do about it?
yeah. When I was 10, I killed my dog Scrappy. I
Oh.
I got a piece of treat and I stuck a rock in it and I fed
Oh.
it to him and he died.
Oh no.
My
They call
Celia,
the
go
lion
stepdad
back
the
to
was an
dog.
sleep. Celia, go back to sleep.
my stepdad was an asshole, so I kicked the ladder out from under him and he died. I'm just like,
Oh
girl
God.
power, you go. I support women's wrongs.
Oh no.
Although I think in that case I'd classify it as a right.
All right. Any other thoughts, comments, questions, overarching questions, anything like that before we move on to the reviews? Okay. We shall continue on. So the book picker pasta isn't here today, which, to be honest, is the most shocking thing that's ever happened to me in my life. Just kidding. So we'll just start alphabetical. We'll start with Adrian and then go down the line. So Adrian, would you like to share your review?
Yes. So, writing quality, I think the writing quality was good. I give it like a 8.5 out of 10. Other than, you know, some wordiness here and there, it wasn't ever hard to read. I actually enjoyed it. Personal enjoyment, I give that another 9 out of 10. Give that 9 out of 10. And I'll change writing quality to a 9. I'll just keep it solid numbers. Um, I enjoyed reading the book. Towards the end, I was pretty invested to see what happened. I teared up a little bit towards all the death that happened to her at the end of the book, her daughter and Harry especially, because they were good characters. Um, Plot development, I was actually really invested in the plot. I'll give it an 8. Towards the end it kind of falls off, but for the most part, I was curious to see what was so bad about the next husband and what did she do while with that person, and it was intriguing. The other times it fell flat was just Monique's sections because they were kind of short-lived. We didn't get a lot of information from them, and then we're just back to Evelyn, who was like the main focus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Character development, uh, I'll give this one like a 5, middle of the road. Monique, I agree with Geraint that Monique didn't change much. There were things that changed about her, but not really much to say. And Evelyn is just, I don't like her as a person, but it was interesting to read what she did through her life. Um, and I don't think there was really a good message to this book, other than be unapologetic in your life and then give all your stuff to someone you feel bad for. Um, and then for that, I just give it another 5. So that equals out. Let's see, that's a 9, a 9, and 8. That's 20, 26, and then uh, and then 2 5s. So it's 36 divided by 5. It's about a, hold on, got calculator. 7.2.
Okay. All right.
I think that's fair.
Very well. Jesse, would you like to share your review?
Yeah. For writing quality, I gave it a 7. I thought that it wasn't anything spectacular. I enjoyed it, but it was kind of straightforward at times. But overall, it was good. Personal enjoyment, I gave it an 8. It was very nostalgic for me. It reminded me of sitting up with my mom and my sisters growing up watching celebrity news and all that kind of stuff. So it just like hit the nostalgia factor for me on that. So I really enjoyed the book.
Hmm.
Um, Plot development and character development, I gave both 7s. I really liked the Evelyn parts. I didn't the Monique narrative device of like telling her story. I kind of felt like I would have enjoyed it a little more if the book had just been from Evelyn's point of view and her story from beginning to end.
Hmm.
Kind of leaving the story every once in a while to focus on the current timeline took me out of it a couple times. And like I don't know, I personally feel like it wasn't super needed and probably would have been a little better without it. Character development, I think that, you know, Evelyn, Celia, and them grew not like a lot, but they grew and like you see how they changed from beginning to end. Monique a little bit. I don't think she had a whole lot of time to grow in the story. It was a little rushed. Um, the story itself felt a little rushed too. I feel like there were parts that could have been explained a little more, and I wouldn't have hated reading more of it because, like I said, I enjoyed it. So expanding on some things, I think, would have been necessary. And for theme and message, I gave it a 7. I took away of it as like you don't sometimes what you think is important at a time isn't necessarily what's really important, and holding on to those that you love and like focusing on that instead of being blinded by what you think you need is not a bad message. It some of the things that she did and was very unapologetic about wasn't super great, but overall I think a 7 was good. So my overall score is a 7.2.
Okay. Very good. Marvelous, would you like to share your review?
I kept going back and forth on a couple of numbers because my rating system is typically just thumbs up, thumbs down, and eh, which I would give it somewhere between I would say it's a thumbs up overall. The writing quality I gave a 7. It was perfectly readable and it was fine, but it wasn't like amazingly spectacular. But I mean, it was still engaging and I didn't have any problems with it. Um, Enjoyment, I gave it an 8 because I am a nosy bitch at heart. So I want to know all of the things. Yes, all of them, including that, whatever that thing is you're thinking. Um, But I mean, there were a couple parts where it's just like, ugh, really, this shit again. Uh, Plot, I gave a 6 because, like, I mean, it was pretty straightforward and it was what it said it was on the tin, which is fine. But there were also parts where I don't know. I wish that they had gone into more detail. Like she kind of has this moment at the beginning of the book where like it's not all about my husbands. And I wish we had gotten more stuff that wasn't specifically about them or maybe more detail than we cuz some of the husbands we didn't really like find out about much. Cuz really like Harry takes up the biggest portion of the book. And I guess maybe there's not very much to say about um like her first husband or the second husband, but I wanted more detail, I guess. TLDR or too long didn't listen, whatever. Character development, I gave a 5 because while I felt that, like, you can see the through line where Evelyn changes and specifically who changed her. You can see the aspects of other characters in her as she gets older. But with Monique, it's just her sections weren't terrible, but they were definitely the low points of the book. And like you can kind of read between the lines and see where she got more confident, but we could have done without her sections honestly, and it would have been fine. Uh, the theme, um, I gave it a 6 because we did get a little bit of those themes where like uh about what's important not always being what you think it is. And I don't know, if you feel bad, give all your stuff to somebody, apparently.
Mhm.
But it kind of just, I mean, it feels like reading a rag at, at the checkout line at the grocery store, Like, if that makes sense. Like, there's not a ton of substance, and you don't really learn anything at the end, but boy, were you entertained. Uh, what is that? What numbers do those make? That's a good question. Still a 6.4, I think. 6.5. I'll round it up to a 6.5 because you can't do 4/10 of a star.
All right.
Sounds about right. I really liked the book, but it was not a spectacular, life changing one.
Okay. Marlino, would you like to share your review?
With me.
Oh, yes.
I gave the book overall a 7.1. I thought the writing quality was fine. It wasn't like anything that stood out good or bad about it. I enjoyed the book a lot. I felt pretty invested in learning about Evelyn. That was pretty cool. Thought Evelyn as a character was good. Celia, Harry. I think Monique sucked. Boo Monique. But I think there was like, anything crazy character development wise. I guess some of the stuff Evelyn learned throughout the course of the book, debatable if that translated anything long term in her life. But I will say, like, the theme takeaway I got was kind of like, doesn't matter about your reputation or like the things you have in life. Like, doesn't matter if you're doing the right or the wrong thing as long as you're taking care of the people close to you that you care about, Like, I think our main thing at the end of it was like, ride or die, motherfuckers. You know what I mean? I don't care if it's right, wrong. I don't care who I'm upsetting. I'm here for my people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if she had, figured that out earlier in the book, maybe she could have had some more successes in a relationship, but I think you don't learn that without the experiences she had. So yeah, I think overall I give it a 7.1. So it's a good book.
All right. Very good. Okay, I will do my review. So for the writing quality, I gave it an 8. I think the book was well written, it was easy to follow, and the story breaks from Monique's perspective were well placed and not overdone. Um, the story felt kind of well woven and like it had a sensible flow to it. For personal enjoyment, I gave it an 8. I thought the story was pretty good and was able to surprise me with the ending. I did find some of the relationships and character interactions a bit unnatural feeling and overall irritating. But I didn't struggle to read this book. It was an interesting and easy read. For plot development, I gave it a 7. The plot was easy to follow, and looking back, it flowed well and had a distinct conclusion. Like looking back, I can see like the path the story took. Uh, there were some plot points that depended on pretty out of character situations happening, but overall, I could get over it. For the character development, I gave it a 7. I thought there was pretty good character development for Evelyn, maybe less for Monique since the story was on a different timeline for her, like maybe only a few weeks. I like how by the end Evelyn really clearly felt she understood what was important in life, and that she was aware she had made a lot of wrong choices in that regard, but also that awareness didn't necessarily save her from making the same exact type of mistakes
Yeah.
in the end, which is a pretty human and relatable thing, to be honest. I think everybody could kind of relate to that of trying to be better, but accidentally doing the same thing sometimes. Um, and for the theme slash message, I gave that an 8. For me, I felt like the message was, people are not all good or all bad. Life is not simple or black and white, and love and connections are just as important as accomplishments and accolades. And my overall score is a 7.6. Okay, and Geraint, Valk, will you share your review?
No, no, no.
Damn.
For writing quality, I gave it an 8. I thought it was well written, like most of the books we've read are. I thought she had a few good quips of like insight. Even like her boobs were the thing that killed her. Things like that. They're sprinkled in there. It added a lot to enjoyment of it. I really got distracted during all of the what's the word, not superfluous, but like the excessive use of colors and descriptions of outfits and blouses and all these things. I'm like, what does this even look like so every time it happened, it just, it just I don't know, it slightly bothered me. But other than that, I thought it was a well-written book. Personal enjoyment, I'd say I gave it an 8. I thought the ending was, I was interested, towards the end. I wanted to see how it ended. I did get invested in the characters to a degree. Um, and yeah, I mean, I just felt like I did enjoy reading this book. Unlike, yeah, I'll just say I enjoyed reading it. For plot development, probably a 6. Just because I don't know. I felt like there was a lot of repeated mistakes, and that just bothers me. The same way when me and Toaster are watching the Wheel of Time series, and just these characters keep doing the same mistakes. It's like, does no one grow around here, or learn or change? And there was just a little too much of that. But overall, the way the book was presented, and Evelyn's character arc, and this is more character development. I did appreciate that. I will say the timing of the eras was a little hard. Like when I was first reading this, I was assuming we were in like the 60s or 70s, but it was in the
Yeah.
50s, and it was just a little hard for me to track mentally. In that sense, like the year progression. So that was a 6. So 886. Character development, also a 6. Like I said,
Mhm.
Evelyn, I thought had reasonable character development. I fucking hated Celia's character progression, and I really hated the fact that she did change her outlook at the very end. As, oh yeah, let's have you marry my brother and hide things, and yeah, you were right all along. Like, I hated that, and I'll talk about it in my theme message. But I was so hoping that Evelyn would stop chasing Celia. And I'll get to that in my theme message, but I didn't like that spin. And Monique, I've already said it. I didn't think she developed that much. And as a character like Jesse, and I can't remember who else said that, I feel like a lot of her excerpts in the story detracted rather than added to the story. Like the twist at the end with her dad, okay, great. I thought that was a great twist, but her stuff with David and her growth was just felt so forced on me by the author. Like, oh yeah, look how she's growing. So I really didn't like that. And as for theme message, I'll give it a 7. Um, and what I took away was a little similar to what Marlon said. Ride or die. You find your people that uh, mean have a meaning to you, and you invest in them, and you try to make the most out of life in that sense. And the thing I didn't like about Celia's arc and how I didn't feel like it fit that message is, I felt like Celia was almost this drug for Evelyn. Like, Celia seemed like not a great person, in my opinion. She left her for dumb reasons, in my opinion. And is very impractical and very like what are you doing? Your career will be ruined if you out that we're lesbians. And obviously I love you, Celia, but I'm not. I'm not. I'm just kind of rambling right now, but I just felt like the Evelyn Celia relationship was Evelyn intoxicated by Celia, by this image of her, and this experience she had with her, kind of similar to a drug, and she chased that her whole life and missed out on possibly other relationships or experiences. And I felt like her being with her daughter or her being with Harry, even though they weren't truly married or whatever, those are people that cared with her, and Harley stuck it out with her, where Celia abandoned her so many times, and for her to get this happiness at the end with Celia, I don't know, I just didn't appreciate that's where it ended. So anyway, so 88667, that's 14, 14, 28, 35, so I gave it a 7.
All right.
They're all pretty similar.
Yeah, I
Beautiful.
think they were all in the 7 point somethings. So,
Yeah.
okay. GB, we'll have
Mhm.
a little break next week. The next reading material has been selected. Some, I guess, what it comes down to is a collection of short but cohesive stories, the Murderbot Diaries. And the information for those, it's posted somewhere if you haven't gotten them yet. But essentially, it's volume 1 and volume 2 of that, and each one contains two short stories. Not super short though, but anyway. So in 2 weeks we will start those. I'll post the schedule for that pretty soon because it's pretty straightforward. It comes down to like, I don't know, 80 pages a week or something like that. But I'll post the schedule for that. And yeah, till then.